to God tonight, things will get better soon.
Joanna Noelle Levesque, popularly known as JoJo, is an American singer, songwriter, and actress. Born on December 20th, 1990, in Brattleboro, Vermont, she was raised in Foxborough, Massachusetts. JoJo grew up in a single-parent household, and her mother, Diana, who was a church singer, nurtured her love for music early on. Diana's support, coupled with JoJo's natural talent, helped birth a star.
I believe in you and me, and I believe that we will be in love eternally. Well, that's as far as I can see. You will always be there for me.
By age 6, JoJo was already impressing judges, performing on TV talent shows, and recreating soulful renditions of popular songs. JoJo's natural talent for singing became very obvious at just 6 years old. She was already showcasing her voice on shows like Kids Say the Darndest Things, Destination Stardom, and if I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing her on Maury. JoJo didn't grow up wealthy. In fact, when she did her episode for MTV Cribs, that was actually her uncle's house. Despite growing up with financial difficulties, her mom still encouraged her to pursue her passion, and her mom took her to as many auditions as you can think of.
We're glad you're here.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll see ya.
Just take those orchids off the shelf. I did it by myself. Didn't use a game that got the same soul. I like that old time rock and roll. JoJo's parents separated early on, leaving her mother to raise her as a single parent. In her memoir, JoJo has discussed her family struggles, including her parents' battles with addiction. JoJo's father, Joel Maurice Levesque, was active in her life. Looking at photos, you can tell that they were close and they had a relationship. But he also struggled with addiction, which was very difficult for JoJo growing up. On top of her father struggling with addiction, her mother also battled with alcoholism. Now keep in mind, her mother was her manager, so this would prove to be very tricky in the upcoming years. Despite all these challenges, JoJo still pursued her career and became successful. By the age of 12, JoJo had caught the attention of Blackground Records. After performing for record executives, her vocal power and maturity impressed industry veterans, and she quickly signed to the label, marking the beginning of her career. Now, y'all notice how I said she quickly signed? Keep that in mind. JoJo's debut single, Leave, Get Out, was released in 2004 when she was only 13. Now, this is when I started to pay attention to JoJo. JoJo was the hottest thing around. Everybody at school was talking about her. I remember my cousin making her mom go to the store and go get the album. It was a big deal. I wanted you right here with me.
It became a massive hit. It reached the top of the Billboard records, making her the youngest solo artist to achieve those numbers. Like, she literally broke a record.
Your favorite songs in the album?
I love the Week, the remake I did. That was really fun to make because I got to work with the original producer and writer of it. And let's see, I love Breezy. That's a great song. Keep On Keeping On, the one I wrote.
She eventually started traveling the world, even Japan.
Hi guys, thank you so much for coming out. If you don't have the album already, this is an HMV, go pick it up. So thank you for coming. Yeah, JoJo です。もうみんな買ったんだもんね。買った人手挙げてください。Oh, thank you guys so much. Woohoo! Yes, 間違いない。You know what? I did learn 間違いない, and I was pretty excited about that. Also, of course, konnichiwa and arigato. But that's all.
Her self-titled debut album went on to sell over 4 million records worldwide. One of the things I thought was interesting was they did not even show her face or put her face on the record when they first released it, and they just pitched it to radio stations kind of blank. And when people found out that she was a 13-year-old little white girl, they were shocked. Their minds were blown. They couldn't believe it. But this was a marketing strategy that the record label did so that it wouldn't prevent her from, gaining success. And it worked.
If I say I hate white people, never ever am I talking about this lovely lady right here. This is my queen, ho. I love her. We like this. We go way back. Me and her, we like this. Don't ever play with her in my presence.
JoJo credits Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Christina Aguilera, and many more for her inspiration to her sound. And if you listen to her music, you hear a lot of Whitney inspiration and some Christina Aguilera inspiration in there. Unfortunately, Christina wasn't a fan of JoJo. They ran into each other when they were appearing on the same show. They happened to do a soundtrack for the same movie. And when she ran into her, it wasn't the most pleasant experience.
You were on the same episode where Christina Aguilera was on that episode. So, do you want to say anything about that?
What it taught me, feeling the way that this person made me feel, taught me is that I just never want to make anybody feel that way. And it really I was like, damn, it made me feel like, oh, you don't want to meet your idols. But then I had so many great experiences. Like I talk about meeting Beyonce in the book, and she's just like truly the most, I think I described her as incandescent. She's unbelievable. And there's no hate in my heart toward this person, nor is this a surprise, I suppose, with other stories that we've heard.
As JoJo rose to fame, she also had to deal with the difficulties of being a teenager in the public eye. She attended a public school in her early teens, but the hectic schedule from being on the road, trying to do her homework, and just battling life while being a superstar became too much. So eventually, she became homeschooled. Despite her overwhelming rise to success, JoJo faced a lot of issues. The record label people that she signed with, Blackground Records, they don't never need to sign another artist again, because when I tell you they screwed her over, they did her dirty. So around 2007, her label began experiencing internal problems, things that didn't have anything to do with JoJo. But then she found herself unable to release music. Due to a tight contract, she couldn't even sing. I mean, these people not only owned her music, they owned her voice.
I don't want to be alone. Don't leave me alone. My heart just like beating triple time. Because I love you all my life.
As a young artist at the height of her career, her frustration grew because any song that she was recording pretty much, I don't want to say went to waste, but it was either shelved and unable to be released, or some of her songs the record label just didn't listen to at all. Eventually, her and her mom had to hire an attorney, and after years and years of legal battles and going to court, JoJo eventually sued her record label in 2014 to get out of her contract. I believe there was a clause that allowed her to get out of her contract because of her age. Legally, her record label was not able to bind a 13-year-old at the time to a contract like that.
You wanted to get you and your mom out of the circumstances that you were in.
In 2016, JoJo released her album, Mad Love. So this was her first full-length project in a decade. So by now, 10 years had already passed. Now, one thing about it, JoJo has a loyal fan base. So although her loyal fans stuck with her and rode with her to the end, her project still didn't do as well, nearly as well as her first project. Too much time had passed. This caused JoJo to become depressed and battle with alcohol and addiction, as she states in her memoir.
And this fame was a part of that. And they
Yeah.
were not stage parents. You were the driving force for you.
I was.
But you talk about the cycle of substance abuse that you fell into at the height of fame. Take a look.
The drinking helped dull down my emotions. And whether it was alcohol or weed, I stayed in an intoxicated state as much as possible, even during the day, which made me care less about everything. But I continued the cycle, drinking to escape reality, and then making decisions that were ultimately embarrassing, at best, or had horrible consequences, at worst.
Yeah, listen, I mean, that was not at the height of fame. That was in a down moment where I was like, I felt completely like a victim of the circumstances of industry politics, things that were going on behind the scenes that I had no control of. So I would say dulling my emotions and coping in ways that I had seen family do for a long time. Right. It's amazing how you come up with ways to cope, and in retrospect, you can look back and be like, wow, I wish I had dove into piano lessons or something, but no,
the reality
I was
is
going out a
that
lot.
you can't have a triumph without a challenge. And everyone has their...
It's so true.
You can't.
In 2018, Joanna became independent and she started dropping independent projects, including re-recording her previous albums because the old record label had some type of rights over all her music, so she re-recorded the music in order for her fans to stream them on all platforms. But because before then, her old record label was not allowing her to do that. I remember Ashanti doing that too, and Irv Gotti was ticked. He was pissed. Now, JoJo's love life has been kept private for the most part, but you know, I did a little digging. I found out she was engaged to an actor. So apparently he was on some TV show, the reboot of Saved by the Bell, and they was engaged, but he was cheating on my girl. He was cheating on her, so he remains nameless. I don't even need to give y'all his name. After the breakup, JoJo discussed going on a self-healing journey, finding herself, and just really handling the issues that she never had a chance to handle before. She battled with her self-image, because imagine growing up in the spotlight and the people in the industry are telling you that you're not good enough. There were times when she was trying to release songs, and instead of the industry execs telling her, like, look, we can't release your songs because we in debt, we in bankrupt, or whatever was going on with them, instead of them keeping it real, they would blame it on her and tell her, well, you need to drop a few pounds. Ain't that crazy to say that to a teenager?
I was not a safe place for myself, so I was not a safe person to be in a relationship with. I also attracted people that didn't know who they were. I didn't know who I was. Can now see in retrospect that the people that I have been in relationship with, the things that I didn't like about them or the things that bothered me, you know, we were attracted to each other to hold a mirror to each other.
Yeah.
So the things that offended me or I had a lot to learn from that. My ego got inflamed, and ego in the sense of like, I went into defense mode. I could be very defensive. I could be self-righteous. I mean, you name an undesirable quality, I have possessed it. I have exercised it. That being said, I think I've also been a really good partner, you know, because I think that I'm single, but you know, I'm always into accountability. Always. I'll always be the first to say I'm sorry and to be like, you know, I'm actively working on this.
That's huge.
I'm into that.
Despite the setbacks, JoJo has remained a respected figure in the industry. JoJo will always be known for her talent. She will always be known as that 13-year-old little girl who blew everybody out of the water, not just her peers, but even people who were her senior. She's known for her resilience and her undeniable talent. She continues to create and release music, though now she's more focused on artistic freedom rather than mainstream success. Her re-recorded albums were meaningful act of reclamation, allowing her to share her legacy with a new generation. Because let's face it, had she not re-recorded her albums, they would have been shelved and nobody would have heard them. You know, these record execs, they don't care about legends and keeping people's legacy going. Look how they did Aaliyah. We barely even hear about Aaliyah. I should do a documentary on her, y'all, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to touch that one. Because I'm still waiting on her family to release a worthy biopic or documentary. As of lately, JoJo has dived into other artistic ventures. She's gotten into acting. She was on The Masked Singer in 2021.
Accountability is everything.
Preach. Preach.
So as it pertains to the time between my second album and when I turned 18, nobody knows what I was going through in my family life. And I'll probably save that for a book one day.
Yeah.
Because that was more deeply painful than anything that was going on with the label.
Wow.
And my mom was managing me. That was a very interesting experience. And so it's not just somebody's fault. It's not just this person's fault. It's not just my fault. Things culminate for a perfect storm or things culminate and come together in a unique way. And I think it's important to like dissect it all.
And she has released that memoir. She definitely held on to her word. I like my girl because she's a follow through, okay? Whatever she says she's going to do, she does it. She released that memoir. And when I tell you the streets is talking, baby, everybody is in love with her book all over social media. So I definitely think y'all should go check that out. So this was a special request by a few of my supporters. So if y'all have any artists that y'all want me to do a story on, comment down below. Let me know. And I'm still a growing channel, y'all. Let's get to 3K. Please, let's get to 3K. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe so I can hit that 3K mark. And I would be so excited. I would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate y'all. And until next time.
So the verse is like kind of like, I wish that I could shut you up, keep you muted. I wish I knew the difference between your voice and mine. I'm always putting out the fires that you started, and every time I look around, it's just not that fast, but on me. And then it's like, you only show up when it's inconvenient. Always talking out of my head with lies, keeping me home, keeping me from leaving. You love just to take my time. So I think that always going from like something that's softer and smaller into something that's bigger, it always freaks me out mentally. I know that it's not like.
Are you dating anybody?
I am not dating anyone seriously, but I am outside.
You're out there.
I'm outside.